meant to him over the years. Well, the Tigers have the day off today as they travel all the way to Seattle, where they'll play the Mariners and then pivot to San Francisco to play the Giants on the weekend. Also, Lions camp back underway this morning. No fans this week as they'll put together their final work before taking the field on the road against the Giants on Thursday. Dan Campbell's media session pushed back to about 9:30 this morning, according to the team. From the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
We'll get to Heather's Olympic medal stand coming up at 9:18. 9:35, Michigan football, hot water. What now? John, offensive line, right at home for you. What stood out?
Well, first of all, the starting five looks good. And they are starting to play better together. It was a little bit hit and miss early on in the run game, but protection-wise, communication-wise, I think they're going to fulfill all the expectations we have. Question I have is, what happens if somebody gets hurt?
Right.
And with the unknown non-football illness that Mahogany has, we don't know when he's going to be back, but he was drafted to provide some depth in the interior of the offensive line. Kyoto Owusika has been absent the last couple of practices. Don't know what that is, and maybe it's nothing. Maybe it could be family reasons. It could be a lot of different things.
But he did start in the NFC Championship
and
game.
Played very well. But right now, obviously, your two guards are Zeitler and Glasgow. Neither of them are spring chickens, along with Ragnow at the center position. So if something happens to Frank, Glasgow moves in there and you bump somebody up. They have been forced to put Kobe Sorsdahl, last year's fifth-round pick, who's more of a tackle, had some run at tackle, had some run at guard last year, to fill the void in the twos that are running, obviously, against sometimes the number one defense. But after that, if there is a long-term issue with Mahogany, and we find out what's going on with Awosika, who is it that they would rely upon that has any experience?
Well, if that happens, yeah, Sorsdahl's going to be looked at as a key filler piece.
Right, who has right now 3 NFL starts under his belt.
And the other question would be, would you explore anybody else who gets cut, a veteran out there in the next couple weeks? If, again, this is the if.
So they did go out and sign, what is it, Ike Bodger? I think that's how you say his name. He's got 17 starts, but other guys on the roster are all undrafted rookies in Egwequan, Hudson, and Clemens. No NFL experience with Jake Burton.
You're talking just the guards right now.
Yeah. just the
interior guys. Because you're not, Because, I mean, like, Manu is a tackle project. I don't think they would bump him in.
No. Skipper is the tackle.
A true tackle. Yeah, and even this Connor Gavin out of Baylor, I was a little interested in, the left tackle, but he's a left tackle. Yeah, right. You're talking interior guard options. There's a couple guys with some depth questions right now. Sure.
Yeah, and I'm just curious if there's any issue, long-term issue with Awosika, or if there's a long-term issue with Mahogany, do they need to go out and get a veteran with some experience to back up the interior?
So let's talk about that. Depth and guys they still may need to add. You could argue a guard. If anybody else gets hurt, that position gets bumped up to the, higher up on the list. Quarterback, we mentioned Hendon Hooker, so far hasn't looked good. He will have preseason games, plural, to show a little more. The same could be said with the kicking situation. Is at the very top of the list to bring in someone to compete with Jake Bates because he was not good in the scrimmage on Friday. He is someone who's largely untested, and for as much as I'm excited to see what he could do at the NFL level, I did want him to win the competition. If he's just given the job and falls on his face, that's a guy who does have a critical impact on game day, whether you're getting 3 points or you're not. NFL games, a lot of them are decided by 7 points or less. I do think another kicker in camp would be helpful to push him, and if he does struggle, he's far from a given, you would have someone in camp ready to break camp with, to start the regular season with. John, you went as far as to say in our email prep that it would be irresponsible not to have another kicker in the mix right now.
Well, you should have another one on the roster to create competition, to find out, is Jake Bates the guy that you're actually... I mean, they can hope he wins the competition. I hope he wins the competition. But right now, there is no competition because They let James Turner go. He's subsequently signed with Green Bay. He's no longer an option. And Michael Badgley got hurt. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, with 3 kickers, all of a sudden you're down to 1 and it's the most inexperienced of the bunch, that was irresponsible to let James Turner go. It's unfortunate the turn of events that they did let him go and they signed Jake Bates to a 2-year deal. And then Michael Badgley got hurt. They couldn't foresee that Badgley was going to get hurt. They thought that was going to be the competition. But now that this is what they're dealing with, I think it is irresponsible if they don't bring another kicker to compete with Jake Bates. Jake Bates has no track record. His track record is 1 year in the UFL, kicking it at Ford Field. Okay, that's an asset.
Fine.
But at some point, you're going to be kicking outside. And he's never kicked other than that. In a game situation, like there's 6,000, maybe 10,000 people there. The pressure will be much different in NFL games, even in the preseason, than it was in a UFL game.
I'm completely with you, John, and I don't really care how he does in the preseason at this point. The book's out on him. I mean, it was over-glorified what he did to begin with. The Panthers, everybody got caught up with the long kicks, but he wasn't that accurate. And you got to have a guy.
Well, hold on. What do you mean he wasn't that
No,
accurate?
his stats were not like perfect. Okay.
Well, okay, they're not perfect, but which kicker is perfect?
Well, no, he did. He missed extra points. He missed some kicks that were under 50.
He missed one kick, I think, under 50, right?
So, but the bottom line is here, he was a luxury because you had Badgley. And I've been critical of Badgley, but I know what I was getting with Badgley. A guy I can count on most of the time under 50. Going to miss a couple extra points here and there. I don't know if you can go into the regular season with this guy. Now, you can let this thing play out for preseason, but come, the week leading up to the games, 10 days out or so, you've got to seriously consider acquiring a kicker and maybe giving up a late pick.
Not necessarily. Again, if he kicks well in the preseason, if Friday is the anomaly and he's good in the preseason and preseason practice, I'd break camp with him as the starting kicker. He missed, I looked it up, 1 kick shy of 50 in the UFL, and he made 6 of them from 50 plus, including 3 of them from 60 plus. If he performs well and reliably from this point on, I have no issue giving him the first crack at it. I'm not carrying 2 kickers in the regular season.
No, you sort this out. John, you used the word irresponsible.
Right. You bring in somebody to compete, and if Jake Bates wins the competition, then so be it. I'm rooting for Jake Bates. I want to see a guy
that you somebody compete in camp right now in preseason games. I strongly think you sit there after cuts are made and you look at rosters around the league and you really consider getting something that's reliable and established.
Yes, because right now, even though he was accurate, only 1 under 50 that he missed. I get that. But if there's any shakiness in the preseason games, then you've got to look outside to find somebody to come in and compete and give you the confidence going into the regular season, a season where you believe you are a Super Bowl contender, that you've got somebody that can be reliable from 35 to 50.
Let me ask you this. What position do you think is more important for this team right now? The team's starting kicker or the team's third wide receiver? And I think it's kicker.
I think it's kicker, which is crazy.
Because your kicker's going to be your leading scorer.
Well, and your third
receiver. They're going to get more opportunities to put points on the board than anything. Your third wide receiver might not get the ball at all.
Well, your third receiver is really the 5th option in the offense.
Yeah.
Running it, St. Brown, Laporta, J-Mo. I mean, it's
Gibbs in the passing game.
Gibbs, yeah. I mean, the third receiver is going to catch, 35, 40 balls.
I was going to say 40 balls.
Right. It's important, but the kicker is going to be deciding whether or not drives end with points or not. And it does inform decisions, end of half, end of game, that are critical to winning and losing games.
But if we got a report right now that said the Lions have traded their 6th-round pick to the Denver Broncos for Will Lutz, I'm wiping my hands clean and I'm moving forward, and that's it. And I'd be in full support of it 100%.
Right, because, and here's the thing, is we're speculating. We don't know how Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, Dave Phipp feel about what they've seen from Jake Bates. Like, what we saw on Friday was that he was a little shaky, that he's missed some kicks. These are practice. He's not going to be perfect in practice. Like
he's going 15, right?
He's going to work on some things at different times that, and if he's trying to tweak his technique, maybe Dave Phipp asked him on that day, hey, I want you to try putting your foot 2 2 inches out or 2 inches back or doing something different to see how it affects you. Like, those are the things that we don't know, because at practice, you're supposed to allow for the opportunity to try new techniques.
It's a great point. And I think one thing that some people fall into a trap of every year, doesn't happen with kicking, it happens with quarterbacks. Early in camp, we get a report, starting quarterback throwing too many picks in practice. And it's like, well, the time to force the ball, the time to try some stuff, the time to
is in practice.
Is in practice, early in practice especially. So I don't want to overblow what we've seen from Bates so far if he rounds into form in the preseason and later into this ramp up.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you, because I don't care about kickers. I don't know the techniques of kickers. Were they trying to get him to strike the ball in a little bit of a different spot, and that was affecting his accuracy? But ultimately, if he's able to do that, does it make it better throughout the regular season? These are things that if we get a chance to hear from Dave Phipp, that I hope he's asked these questions.
I just don't want to come in here after a game in September and hear you talking about this again.
Oh, I don't. Trust me, I don't want to talk about it.
I do believe it potentially is sitting there to be a problem if they decide to go with him. Mm-hmm. I just get, remember Nate Freeze? The guy the Lions drafted.
Yeah, that wasn't Kickalicious, but that's and
they went with him,
yep.
And it cost them.
248-539-9797. We're going to get into Michigan football at 9:35. A question about what's next and the hot water that they currently find themselves in. The notice of allegations. A draft was leaked. ESPN has it. We'll talk about it. We've got Heather's Olympic medal stand next. It's 97.1. And you start looking at the calendar and you see year's starting to wrap up here. Hard to believe, but we're making room for new year models on the road, and it's great news for you. Moran Chevrolet has their 2024 model year-end closeout sale going on right now. They've reduced prices on all remaining 2024 models in stock. That's even the Silverado and the Blazer. Pick up your new ride or have it delivered directly. Moran Chevrolet, how easy is that? It's Moran Chevrolet, where you always get the best price. Period. Search inventory, MoranExpress.com. Stop by in store. They're on Gratiot, north of 15 Mile in Clinton Township. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. The timing of this is great. We have Simone Biles on the floor.
She just competed. Did amazing.
Oh, did she?
She did. She did step out of bounds on one of her tumbling passes, but it doesn't really even matter because what she's doing is so difficult that she can have some of those deductions and it won't impact her score. So there you see
She landed
she's
out of
so
bounds.
powerful that she gets so much power on these skills. It's crazy.
Do you think this is a gold medal performance?
Yeah.
We'll find out.
I mean,
shortly.
also it depends. They all haven't competed yet. So somebody could do better.
Could one up her.
It looked good, though, compared to the fall on the beam, which was devastating. So
All show, we've mixed in our takeaways from the Olympic weekend, and we've done it in a medal stand with gold, silver, and bronze. I did mine earlier. John's given out his. Heather, it's your chance.
all right, guys. So I
Love
took
the
this a
music.
little differently than you did because I agreed with most of yours. Noah Lyles, right, getting the gold. Incredible. What a fantastic moment. Something that I think everybody should watch. Simone Biles, too, getting gold in vault over the weekend. Incredible moment as well. So I do agree with you, but I kind of took this differently as just what I took out of the Olympics over the weekend. So for bronze, this was a tough. I had a lot of moments I wanted to put in my medals, but for bronze, it's going to Snoop.
Oh.
Okay, like what Snoop can't, like what can he not do, right? So he was all dressed up for the how do you say that? The horse
equestrian,
dressage.
yeah.
Dressage, whatever. Yeah, that. Dressage. So he was all decked out in his gear with Martha. He was scared of horses, but he got in there. What?
No.
Roll your eyes at Martha Stewart. Okay. Anyway, he got in there. He's scared of horses, got close enough to him. And that, what I love too is when they were watching some of it happen, they put his gin and juice over the horse doing its thing. And then he kind of rapped right there, changed the lyrics as he was watching. I just like him, right? Like I just enjoy watching him. He puts a smile on my face. So I'm giving him the bronze medal.
We have audio of him doing commentary of BMX
Oh, yes,
biking.
let's listen to that.
Play that.
Like it just puts a smile on your face.
Yeah.
So he's going home with my bronze medal.
I want Snoop to do an NFL game.
Yeah, let's.
I do. I think it would
Sure.
be fantastic.
Why not?
I would pay for it.
Would you?
I love Snoop.
I
do
do too.
Yep.
He could have actually gotten. It was a toss up between silver and bronze, so he could have gotten the silver. But
Yeah.
I figured I'd go for some athletes now for silver. There are several male athletes that have careers they can fall back on if they decide to retire. There's a lot of males, including one this weekend that went viral for their manhood that was on display. So this weekend there was that French pole vaulter who didn't get to qualify because his pole hit the crossbar.
His junk got in the way? Yeah.
And that moment went viral. Before him, there were several swimmers that also went viral because they're...
For their junk?
Yeah,
Well, and this is what you're putting as a silver medal?
I am.
The junk of dudes?
Yes. It's exactly what I'm putting as a silver medal. It was a toss-up between that and Sha'Carri's nails. Did you guys see her nails? Her
Yeah.
fingernails? Unbelievable. They were beautiful. That was also in the running for silver or bronze, but it didn't quite make the cut.
Which were longer?
What do you mean?
Nothing.
The nails or the junk?
Oh, well.
I don't know. I
Anyway.
mean, ask the expert.
And then finally,
How much research did you do for this?
not a lot. This is what my takeaway
Okay,
was.
anyway.
Well, I watched the Olympics.
I
Here's
know,
what I took
clearly.
away.
Junk everywhere.
For gold, I put that age isn't slowing these athletes down, specifically in Simone Biles and Katie Ledecky, who are both 27 years old. And in those particular sports, swimming and gymnastics, usually these elite athletes peak at a much younger age. So I'm giving both of them or that particular thing the gold. Over the weekend, like I said, Simone Biles got gold in the vault. Incredible, following gold in the team competition as well as individual all around. And then Katie Ledecky won her 800 meter, got her 9th gold there. So
She's gotten gold in the 800 meter 4 straight Olympics. And to your point, neither one of them have ruled out
yes,
a 2028. They'd be
Yeah.
over 30 years old
31.
competing.
Because I think when I go back and think of gymnastics growing up watching it, these girls were like 16 years old. They were teenagers.
Yeah.
These are 27-year-old women, and it's incredible that age is not slowing them down at all. There you have it.
Before we get to the news, should I read this? Yeah, I'll read it.
Yeah.
Got a feel for Colin here. Not only is he short, he also has his junk being compared to Olympians. We've got your back, Colin. Gilly at work. And we'll go to Heather with, you don't have to respond to that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'll help you out. We'll just transition into
right to
much
the news.
more important stories with the news.
Let's talk about Cedar Point.
Oh, boy.
An iconic ride there, Snake River Falls, is going away.
Really?
Yeah, they're going to close it down at the end of the summer. So the ride opened, I actually thought it opened earlier than this, but it opened in 1993. It's the ride where you can go and you stand on the bridge and you can get, it's a big water ride, right? Well, it was the tallest, fastest water ride at the time. Now it's just, I guess, kind of dated. So they say it will permanently close on Labor Day, and then they're going to make way for future expansion. What they're going to put there? No word yet. A Florida man was arrested after he lassoed an alligator, tied it to a fence, and then called 911 to report that he had found it that way. Right? So video footage actually shows a completely different story. It shows the 71-year-old using this white nylon rope to lasso the gator and then tie it to a handrail. He did later admit that the gator had been eating turtles for years. He said that he called animal control, but they did nothing. So he decided to take matters into his own hands. But he says he didn't lasso the gator. He just says that the gator bit the nylon rope and then ended up kind of trapped in it. So still lied about that. He ended up getting arrested for a felony.
Oh, was you said that was in Florida?
It was in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. A message in a bottle found in the sand at Ocean City, New Jersey, could be the oldest ever discovered. This is incredible. A woman was just strolling along the beach. This was over the 4th of July weekend, and she discovered an antiqued green corked bottle, and it contained what appeared to be a business card from 1876. And also a handwritten note. And the bottle itself had some words, Bar and Brother Philadelphia, which is a business from the mid-1800s. It was just really incredible. Wow. She believes it was tossed in the water about 146 years ago.
Wow.
Unreal. She submitted it to Guinness World Records to hopefully,
Authenticate it?
Yes, that's the word. She said that one of the papers inside the bottles was this business card from a pair of brothers who ran a gentleman's furnishing goods company in Philadelphia until 1881. And then there was a paper inside that referenced a local yacht called Neptune. Anyway, pretty darn cool. I would have loved to have found this. She said what's cool about it is now that her family is doing all the research and that's been fun, just kind of going back in history. Yeah. She also said what they weren't expecting was the nasty smell that was inside this bottle, that it was real bad.
They didn't expect something 140 years old might smell?
I guess it must have been really bad.
Okay.
Really bad. So a couple in the UK found out that an owl doesn't make a good ring bearer.
Oh,
you don't say, right? So usually ring bearers are children.
Yeah,
and
or
usually
dogs.
now the ring bearer isn't even actually holding the rings. Like you give it to the best man and it's just more for
they
show.
Got it in their pocket. Yeah.
But that's not what this couple did. The couple decided to give their rings to the owl, who then flew away for more than 7 hours. So they went through with the ceremony without actually having rings because they couldn't wait any longer. There was a handler that tried to get it down with like chicken. Didn't work. Anyway, it did return and the rings were found safely, but maybe don't use animals.
A real whodunit.
Who? Yeah, exactly. Finally, most people do bring their own snacks into the movie theater with them.
Yes.
And they never get caught, right? But two people in New Zealand were busted smuggling treats into a kids' movie. They went to go see the
Inside Out 2?
No, the Minions, the Despicable Me 4. And they got some pretty big consequences. They got in trouble. So they were stopped. The usher or whoever said, you know what, you got it.
Because they took their own M&Ms in?
Yeah, well, they took a bag of popcorn, chips, and candy.
Good
so
for them.
It wasn't like they could fit like M&Ms in their pocket.
Right.
They were.
Yeah, okay. So what's the penalty?
They've been banned from the movie theater for 2 years.
For 2 years?
And the police were called. Yeah.
And the cops were called.
4 of them. Well, 4 showed up. Yeah.
Damn.
Guys, yes, alarming, yes, but this is the theme of the show. Michigan and the illegal scouting returning the 5-year-old mattress, bringing in candy to the movie theater. How far are you willing to push the rules, and how
Pushing that
far
gray area.
is the offended
Enforcement.
party, the enforcement party, willing to enforce them?
Wow, I just can't imagine the cops being called for a
Well-
bag of popcorn.
Well, there was a little bit more.
Was there some confrontation?
There was a little confrontation
so
that took
that's
place.
why the cops were called.
Yes.
I heard they're not going to be allowed to be in a bowl game.
Yeah, this is why you self-impose. So you go like 3 months, and then maybe you don't get banned 2 years.
2 years.
Important. Are you paying attention? 248.
Either that, or you offer to vacuum the theater. To pay your
Dan's at the
price.
podium, too. No Sam Laporta today. Says he'll be fine. Brian Branch, only 7 on 7. No team drills. That's your latest.
Did you just hijack Heather's news with some Lions news at the end there?
I did, yeah.
That is Heather.
I figured I'd jump on the news bandwagon.
I like it.
Anybody else have any other news they want to get out before we? Anybody else? Anything going on in your life? Any news? All right, great. That's Heather and John with the news. Next, Michigan football news. It's 97.1. I have thoughts. You guys have thoughts. People want to know what John Jansen's thoughts are. Michigan Wolverines football in hot water, facing a level 1 violation for a pattern of non-compliance with the NCAA. 7 staffers named. Sharon Moore not facing a level 1 personally, but as a repeat offender, facing a level 2 punishment. And there's the whole deleting 52 text messages to Connor Stallions, which doesn't look right. John, there's a lot of ways we can go with this, but just first your initial reaction.
I mean, if they did something wrong, they got to pay the price. And it's from what I understand, there's questions that have to be answered. One is, why did you delete the text messages? All right, and then the 52 text messages, what did they say? I've been led to believe that there's nothing nefarious in there. There's nothing that connects in those 52 messages what Connor Stallions was doing to anything that would point to Sharon Moore knew exactly what was going on. If that's the case, if they're all innocuous, then release them. I mean, I want to see what they are. And so if they're not able to, because of the legal team says we're not going to do it because it's an ongoing investigation, then we're left to sit here because it is a draft and they say it could change, the wordage. I don't think the levels are going to change. Sharon Moore is compliant with the investigation. When do we get the actual legal notice? Is it end of August, beginning of September? Because I would think the NCAA would have a sense of urgency to put this out there because the university then has 90 days to respond. If they don't put it out till the beginning of September,
not happening this year.
Right. And so put it out there and then force Michigan to do something about it.
Well, Michigan also may accept the punishment too. I mean, they don't have to fight it over 90 days or wait 90 days to then fight it. They could just accept the punishment or self-impose and get out in front of the punishment. There's a lot of ways this can go.
But there's not going to be this is a notice of allegations. The punishment is not going to be in this.
Correct.
It's not going to say, hey, we think he should be suspended for 6 games or a year or fired, whatever.
Right.
That's not going to be a part of it. But Michigan will get a chance to look at it and they'll say, we think, and negotiate with the NCAA, hey, if we give them a 3-game suspension, what
does that give us?
Yeah, what does that do?
What grace do we get?
So, and they could say, and Michigan's going to say, let's go with a 1-game suspension. NCAA says 5 games. Then they meet in the middle at 3? We've seen that go down with Jim Harbaugh.
Yes.
Now, we believe that Sharon Moore is not being evasive like Jim Harbaugh was.
Not to the degree, no.
So if he has been cooperating, which it sounds like he is, then I don't think you'll run into the same, well, we just want to stick it to Jim Harbaugh.
No, but Michigan
for what was originally agreed upon to be, couple of games, and then the NCAA said, no, this is where Michigan, when it's all said and done, admit you've done something wrong, and then just take your punishment. Don't continue to string this out.
Well, I think some people are already nauseated that it's a topic today, but it's a huge story. And if you want it to go away, then you don't drag it out. You don't drag your feet. You accept punishment, or you try to be proactive with it. Sharon Moore is not clean in this, though. I know the way you've characterized it is it's not the level of noncompliance of Jim Harbaugh. Well, that was a total different level of noncompliance. Sharon is a repeat offender. He was suspended previously. He's shaping up to be suspended again. And whether or not you said if Michigan broke the rules, they should be punished. I don't think it's an if. Michigan had a member of their staff illegally obtain scouting reports and signs. They did cheat. They should be punished. And whether it's Sharon's fault or not, he's going to be the head coach at the university when the punishment gets leveled, and it should be leveled. I mean, if you have a history and a culture of not complying with the NCAA investigations, and you have a member of your staff that broke the rules and we're not allowed to learn more because you're evasive in it, the NCAA has to act on it. What does the punishment end up being? I can just tell you what I think. I don't know, because the NCAA feels like it's all over the board with some of this stuff. Some stuff sticks, some stuff doesn't. It's applied inconsistently across sports, sometimes within the same sport. What I can just tell you what I think is fair. I don't know that they're going to vacate a title, and you can't vacate memories. It happened. We watched it. It took place. I don't know that does anybody any good to vacate it. It still may happen. I think the focal point has to be moving forward. I think Sharon Moore multi-game suspension for multiple violations, and I think the program should face a postseason ban. But it gets sticky with that because what does that mean? The playoff is not an NCAA event. The Big Ten title is. You could, in theory, suspend them from the Big Ten title game and bowl games, but I don't know that Michigan's going to be upset if they can't play in the Outback Bowl. You could take scholarships away. But in the age of NIL, if Michigan's working with 10 less scholarships, but they find the collective money to pay those 10 players outside of scholarships, does it really hurt your program? I think we live in this time where it's harder to pin down a program than ever before. So what's the pound of flesh that you want? And how big a deal is this to you? I mean, this is only the beginning, right? Because we still have to get the official notice of the punishments and the actions. But what do you guys expect? 248-539-9797. Well,
and I know Kang and Doug are working on the audio. Thamel and Feinbaum were on Get Up this morning.
Okay.
And they both, obviously Pete Thamel's been one that has been on this story from the very beginning. And they both said most likely they don't expect a bowl ban and they don't expect any vacated wins. So then it comes down to...
So how does Michigan get punished for this?
Well, that's the question, is how do they get punished? And because this is, if it's shown that Sharon Moore, it's a level 2 and he's a repeat offender, then I'm sure there's going to be a suspension.
Yeah.
The question will be, do they come to that agreement? Does Michigan admit to it and come to that agreement with the NCAA and get that out of the way now? Or do they continue to string this along, which makes this a story every time a bit of information comes out until next year? To me, if first of all, I would love to, if the text messages don't show anything, then if they're not a part of the case, then let's see them. And then I want to know why were they deleted to begin with?
Yeah, it's suspicious. Once the news of the Stallions scheme surfaced, Sharon quickly deleted 52 texts between the two guys. I mean, maybe there's nothing on the text, but I don't know why you would quickly delete 52 text messages between someone who was breaking NCAA rules on your coaching staff if there wasn't some concern that you were going to be outed or a member of your staff was going to be outed. And again, in this report from ESPN, what they have learned, it was Stallions, multiple interns, and at least one other full-time staff. So this is not a lone wolf situation. That was one of the initial defenses is, well, Stallions was a nut job. He was the Michigan Manifesto guy. He did this on his own, by himself, with no help from anybody. Yet he's pulling hard drives and roping in other people on the staff. If Harbaugh didn't know, he should have known. And Harbaugh doesn't get to face any of the consequences because he cut tail and left. But the program still does need to face those consequences. And if Sharon didn't orchestrate this, he was just an offensive coordinator, then maybe you feel a little bad for the guy. But he is the head coach of the program that does now need to deal with the repercussions of all of this. And it's not like he's been perfect in any of this, as he himself will be punished in some capacity with a level 2 issue.
Well, when they come out with the official notice of allegations, we'll get a chance to see what the text messages were and what the allegations are against Sharon Moore.
Couple ticket texts, 248-539-9797. Michigan is filthy cheaters. They deserve everything they're going to get. They deserve the SMU treatment, but of course the Blue Wall Radio doesn't think so.
Well, I think the death penalty might be a bit harsh.
Michigan cheated regardless of if it helped or not. They're cheaters, lowest of the low. That's signed Matt. They should vacate the title and have postseason ban for how many years they cheated, so 3 years of postseason ban. Here's the translation for your listeners. When John says did something wrong, that means cheated, all caps. I don't think there's any dispute that Michigan cheated, flat out. And I think the scope of how much they cheated, they wanted to downplay as a program, and I think this has come to light that all their evasive behavior is going to come back to bite them in some way. One more text says, if Stallion signed an NDA with his Michigan benefactors before leaving town, that's all you need to know. It seems like Michigan has successfully buried their cheating operation in time to win a championship. Eric on the ticket text. We'll get more of your thoughts. You want to jump to the front of the line? We got room on the phones. It's 97.1.
Football season, it's almost here. We can't hardly wait. Dive into the best pool in history and watch some of those great matchups at Stadium Swim, located at Circa Resort and Casino. Catch all the biggest games at a viewing experience built for sports fans. You can chill in one of the 6 pools on 3 different levels for a perfect view of the massive 40-foot tall, high-definition screen. That's Stadium Swim. It's America's favorite place to watch every single football game. Swim-up bars, Insta-ready selfie walls. Like I said, it's built for a nonstop party. Score your perfect game day spot with cozy daybeds, private cabanas, or grab a lounge at the center of the action. You can reserve your spot today. It's 365 days of sports, poolside, located at Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Stadium Swim, all sports, all seasons. Book your spot today at circalasvegas.com.
underrated sign that football's back, the little liners. Lions playing the Giants this week. Preseason opener right here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, get a chance to see a lot of, not many questions are going to be answered about starters, but, you can't hold everybody back. So defensively, who do you think we'll see?
Right.
I would think we'd see Levi Onwuzurike.
Yeah, see if this practice hype is real.
Josh Paschal.
Yep.
Some of the guys that were, hoping to get more production out of this year. And obviously, offensively, Hendon Hooker and then the receivers.
Kicker, all of it. Couple ticket texts on the Michigan stuff. If you aren't cheating, you aren't trying. Go blue. Signed Vince. There is something to be said for everybody's trying to find an edge. The difference is, not all, but some Michigan fans like to play the moral superiority card. And if you cheated, they did, and you got caught, and you'll get punished for it, you don't get to play moral superiority. You are Ohio State, you are Alabama, you are Georgia. You are a big boy, a national champion, but you do what these other programs do too. You're not above them morally. Ticket texter says if Michigan isn't punished with wins vacated and title stripped, it'll harm the entire sport. Fans across the nation will lose interest immediately. Okay, let's not get carried away.
Yeah.
College football is still going to be viewed in mass. It's going to be super big every single Saturday, regardless of what the NCAA decides here. Texter says, I'm an MSU fan. The death penalty stuff is ridiculous. It's not even close to what SMU did. Correct. This one says, every team in football steals signs. So we're back to the talking points of last year where not every team does what Michigan did. What Stallions did as a member of the University of Michigan, and what he did with interns and another full-time staffer involving hard drives and 50-plus games.
Easy. The question is going to be, how far up the food chain did it actually go?
But I almost don't care at this point. They should have known. They've refused to comply. They should be punished.
That's a program punishment. We're talking about Sharon Moore's punishment.
Right. Well, his punishment is a level 2 issue, and as a repeat offender, he faces punishment as well.
Well, if that's what it bears out when the investigation is done. And we'll know the investigation will be done when they give the notice of allegations. And I'm actually hoping that happens sooner than later so that Michigan can make a decision on if they want to self-impose something and move on. Because Dan Murphy, we talked about Pete Thamel, we talked about Paul Feinbaum. Dan Murphy also tweeted out Moore as one of the 5 staffers from 2023 Michigan team accused of failing to cooperate with the NCAA investigation. The draft doesn't present any evidence that the coaches knew what Stallions was doing. Now,
but then just cooperate then. Just cooperate, share, tell, explain. Michigan culturally, from Harbaugh down, doesn't want to tell anybody what happened.
Well, Harbaugh's not there anymore.
Well, I know, but that standard was set by him, and if Sharon, according to Dan Murphy, is not cooperating fully, that's a problem for the University of Michigan. Just be honest. Be upstanding Michigan men and tell what happened. Take your punishment and move on.
When we'll find out when the investigation...
says they haven't been willing to do that. It's
From
a
what I
pattern of
understand is
noncompliance.
Sharon Moore has been very compliant. Every single time he has been asked, he has provided anything that the NCAA has wanted to know.
Well, they had to use the data tracking to find the text, and then he provided it to them. So that wasn't immediate.
No, it wasn't. I didn't say it was immediate.
And you just read the Dan Murphy thing that they're talking about him for noncompliance. I mean, you can read it again. I mean, that doesn't imply that he's been forthcoming in totality in this process.
What I'm saying is it doesn't amount to death penalty.
No, and I haven't said that. And I know you're responding to a ticket text we had. I have not called for death penalty. So let's not use the straw man with they're shutter the program. No one says they're going to shut the program down. I've said it's tough to enforce punishment because of the landscape, because of NIL. You can work around scholarships, because the playoff isn't an NCAA event. Can you get banned from that? The NCAA doesn't have authority. They can try. They should try. There should be punishment. I just think right is right, wrong is wrong, and they should be punished.
Then why should Michigan self-impose their own sanctions?
Because they're an institution of higher standing, right? Isn't that their whole bit?
But if the NCAA is so weakless or so weak and feckless and has no authority whatsoever, like everybody likes to say they are, why should Michigan say, "Oh, please don't hurt us"?
So you think Michigan should do what then?
I think
deny,
they should
deny, hide, run.
Yeah,
avoid.
they should do the Tennessee route. They should do the Kansas route. Yes.
Wait till they get the actual notice of allegations and then make their determination.
Prove it, bitch. That's what I'd say.
Please get that as a drop. 248-539-9797. Well, it's hard to prove when you don't cooperate. It's hard to prove anything when everybody top down acts like the mafia and no one's going to speak or they'll get buried in the ground. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you get to avoid the punishment, though. That's why noncompliance in and of itself is a level 1 violation, because long before Michigan did this, the NCAA
noncompliance
realized
is a level 2.
A pattern of noncompliance is
a repeat offender can make it a level 1, but noncompliance in and of itself is a level 2.
A pattern of noncompliance, which is the direct verbiage used, is a level 1.
Can lead to a level 1.
A level 1 charge is for non-compliance over a period of time, a pattern of it. And it's because the NCAA saw it before Michigan was even involved that this would be a creative way for teams to skirt punishment, is if you don't end up complying repeatedly, you can avoid punishment. They said, no, we're making that a level 1. That's not a way around it. You still have to take your medicine.
And when the actual notice of allegations is delivered, we can make that determination. The NCAA will.
Aren't you guys happy the story's back as Doug and Gator come in the studio?
The gift that just keeps on giving.
Oh, boy.
Yep. We'll open with it and talk about it, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I was interested in. Did you guys get the ESPN sound from this morning by chance?
No, John said you were cutting some stuff up.
Yeah, Thamel and Feinbaum talked about it. And,
no postseason expected.
We'll play. Yep, we'll play what they had to say.
Sorry, I just gave away some of it.
Well, here's the thing about it is it's so early. Like I
Sorry, Gator. He's staring at me.
It's you know, I believe everything and I believe nothing. Like, okay, take it all very seriously, investigate everything, and find out what has merit to it, what doesn't. There's sources in Michigan saying, yeah, we'll get those text messages out immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to somebody really close to it that said it's almost all recruiting stuff because he worked in the recruiting office.
Yeah.
So, but they really should produce them. And then it's, why did you delete
sure
them in
would
the
hope
first
they
place?
would, yeah.
And also, whether it's explicitly directing sign stealing or not, it does show a relationship with Stallions.
Well, of course.
Right, which I think some people wanted to distance him from the coaching staff. That doesn't appear to be that he was some loner by himself. He had connections and regularly communicated with the coaching staff, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're on the staff, I would imagine you talk to other people in the building. I don't know that how much he talked. I mean, not that it's particularly relevant to this story, to Jim Harbaugh, but I mean, John, how many people work in that building? 200, 250, 180? I don't know.
Would be spitballing, yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of people in that building, and not everybody knows everybody else, but of course there was discussions. So, I mean, his job it was in the recruiting office. He talked to coaches a lot. So, anyway,
what else is on the agenda?
Champ and Chump. We have to talk about the Olympics and the Noah Lyles unbelievable finish.
Such a great moment.
And we admitted we parachute in and give our analysis, and then we pull the chute on the sport for 4 years. And come back in.
I'm going to talk about sprinting.
Let's go.
Are you?
Yep.
Can't wait.
All right.
Carson Anderson.
Sharing any personal experiences?
Oh, no.
It's 97-1.
All right, good Monday, everybody. Carson Anderson, 97.1 A Ticket. Hope you had a great weekend. Glad to be with you. Gator, how was your weekend?
I was pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I got some friends on Friday night, and I went out Saturday. I decided to go for a nice drive. It was a beautiful day, so I went driving. I saw Kang at a sports card show.
Yeah? Kang in his element?
He was.
He's entered the hobby. No, he hasn't. He was just out.
I went out there to Laurel Park Place, and what was the name of the store, Kang?
Pro Sports Zone.
Pro Sports Zone. They had several people signing autographs, including actually John Jansen, who was there earlier. I missed John, and I think Lomas and Dan Miller were there. I missed those guys by that much. But Vladimir Konstantinov was there, and that was really, really cool. Got a chance to get a picture with him, and that was it was awesome to seeing how far Vladdy's come from that awful accident and playing Uno with fans that were coming up. He's sitting at a table. He gets to Uno.
Did you play Uno with him, Gator?
No, I wasn't gonna play Uno. I'd want to take.
Would you want to play like Hold'em or something instead?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually just straight up war.
Oh, okay.
But it was cool watching him do that, and big smile on his face when he took the picture, and it was really, really cool. And I got to see Kang in his element with the whole display case of cards and the whole bit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How'd he do?
I think he did well.
Yeah.
I think he did well.
I picked up a huge Tua rookie card, Doug. I showed Gator. Remember? I was like, I'm all cards. I wish Doug were here.
Why'd you do that?
It was a trade, and it's all about value, Doug. And I got good value.
Look,
because everybody else in the world knows that
you.
he's good, and then they value the card.
I hope it's going to be a great investment for you.
I already moved on from it, so.
Wait, you already sold it?
Yeah.
Now, what you won't be surprised with, Doug, is I'm looking at his case, and I saw these two cards, same card, same player, and I'm laughing. I'm like, of course you have one of these or two of these. If there's a card that you would expect Kang to have.
Jordan?
Well, obviously, aside from the Jordans, because that's more recent phenomena.
I don't know. More recent phenomena.
Who's Kang a big fan of?
He's a big fan of a lot of people, but I Jamison Williams.
No, but good guess. No, Anthony Richardson.
Oh, right.
The Anthony Richardson cards. I just started laughing. I'm like, of course you've got a couple of these on display. And then he said he had just sold one. That had to be hard.
Yep.
That had to be difficult.
Hey, if it's in the case, it's for sale. $1 million man, what do you say, Gator?
Everyone has a price.
Yep. I got a price, man.
You got a price. And it's listed right there on the card.
AR, Doug, you'll get on board too.
I'll get on board with what?
AR. I know you don't like Tua, so how about AR?
Okay, it's not that I don't like Tua. It's that I just didn't want the Lions to draft Tua.
What about Hawk Tua?
Completely different story.
She's got a card too.
I'm sure she does. She does.
She's a rookie, I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's her rookie card.
Like a veteran move.
All right, so the Michigan stuff breaks yesterday, and that means immediately my phone starts blowing up, and I start having to make phone calls and find out what we can find out. Allegations, Sherrone Moore, probably the thing that's catching headlines is Sherrone Moore deleted text messages. What happened there? Why did he delete them? What is in the text messages? It's not a great move, okay? It's not a great move. When you're in charge, and he wasn't in charge at the time, but when you're in charge, you're a man in charge, you can't have that kind of, whether it's a panic move, if there's something to hide, we will find that out because those text messages are eventually going to come out. There are people on the Michigan side that want the text messages to come out because they say that the text messages are, for the most part, innocuous and have nothing to do with what Connor Stalions is accused of and don't tie Sherrone Moore into knowing what was going on. But they have to go through legal and all that before they can let him out, according to multiple sources. So we'll see what happens with that. Not knowing what's in them, like I said, I believe everything and I believe nothing. And until those things get come out and can confirm that they didn't tie him into the sign stealing scandal, then we'll await those. it still probably isn't a good idea to delete text messages. And in some ways, if they do absolve him from that, they should be happy that they were able to find him and recover them.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, I think it's human nature that if there's a connection there, you want to get rid of that connection. I'm not surprised that somebody would delete the text messages at the time. Now, when looking back at it, if that's the violation, it's going to, if deleting them is a violation, and which I don't know if it is or isn't, but if deleting is a violation, then that could be a problem that comes back. But it's really about what's in those text messages.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't bother me that he deleted them. I think it does.
Well,
look
I think
suspicious as to why you would.
It's the atmosphere of compliance that they are worried and keep talking about. And but yes, it's incredibly important what's in them. And it seems like everybody who has any source at Michigan is hearing the same thing. We're going to get those text messages out public, and that's what's next. If you're a Michigan fan and you're worried, and certainly, yeah. One thing that's, I guess, reassuring is Dan Murphy at ESPN, who's one of their lead investigative reporters, tweeted out the draft, meaning the draft of the NOA that got released, doesn't present any evidence that the coaches knew what Stalions was doing. That's from Dan Murphy. And I'm going to assume if that's in the draft knows what's in the text messages. So there's that. If you're looking for confirmation of somebody who should have some sense of what's in the text messages, it would be one of ESPN's lead reporters. But this is not a good look, and it's something else that Michigan has to deal with, and trying to move beyond this. But we'll see. I mean, there's throughout this entire thing, I've talked to a lot of people that said more is coming, meaning more evidence or more problematic stuff is going to come out. And then when they said it was done, it's kind of been true. This is a new twist on it with the deleted text messages, but they don't seem concerned about the content of the text messages. But until those are produced, it's kind of hard to know,
Well, I think the big thing to come, the big shoe to drop is what happens with Connor Stalions, period. I mean, you can't deny he was part of the team at the time. And if, the whole sign stealing thing and the, gearing up and fire up chips and all that, there's going to be a lot to try to sift through when it comes to Connor Stalions, and just his connection with the university is there, and it can't be denied. So I don't know if that's, I mean, it's also, I was listening to the guys in the morning show driving in. This is one that's going to be very difficult to come down with a punishment that is going to be of any kind of substance for the University of Michigan, because if you take away scholarships, okay, well, NIL covers that. It's like scholarship doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that might have teeth is a postseason ban, and it's debatable whether that's too harsh. So we'll see what ends up, being the real details here, what the real details are with Stalions when it comes out. I mean, that's the big one. Sharon Moore and the text messages, sure, you want to know if there's any kind of connection, and if he's cleared of it, then he's cleared of it. But Connor Stalions is a different animal.
Okay, so Paul Feinbaum, Pete Thamel spoke this morning on ESPN. You'll hear what they had to say about it next here on Carson Anderson, Open Lines, 97.1 The Ticket. Monday's meet Champ and Chump. We'll have our Champ and Chump nominations today at 10:35. It's Carson Anderson here on 97.1 The Ticket. Open lines, 248-539-9797. Reacting to the story over the weekend that said Sharon Moore deleted 52 text messages from Connor Stallions, and we await the word on what is in those messages, and there is them surely going to be released at sometime here soon, and by all accounts, Michigan wants them released because they say there's no tie-in between Sharon and any sign stealing. But we'll await that evidence and see what comes out of it. With that said, this morning, ESPN, there was Paul Feinbaum and Pete Thamel. We'll start with Paul Feinbaum. Was asked how big of a deal he thought this was, this latest layer in the story, and here's what he said this morning on Get Up. So what's interesting about that is I wonder how Michigan fans feel about it. First of all, you're probably surprised that Feinbaum said that. But because Feinbaum throughout this entire thing has not said anything like that in any way that was, not salacious when it comes to this story. But do fans want Michigan to fight this tooth and nail? I've talked to people on the Michigan side that are in the fight it camp, and people are on the negotiate a solution and move on camp. And the solution might include some punishment. I don't know how fans feel about it. I tend to be a negotiate solutions and move on, but I'm not a crisis management guy. That's always been my thought on how you should handle these things.
Well, I imagine that there's perhaps a large group of people that say just protect the national championship. And if Feinbaum says that all lawyers say that then they're not going to lose the national championship because of what they said at the time, that they want it fair and square or whatever the phrasing was. I think because there was punishment in the immediate wake of the discovery of this, right? Mm-hmm. So once that happened, every team was on notice, I guess, and then you move on from that point in the season. They went out and won their toughest games of the season and end up winning the national championship. So it's at that point, it feels like from, whatever it was, week 4 or week 5 on, that they feel like everything's above ground or above board, that you can't get them for anything like that, then so be it. So you're protecting the championship. But you can't ignore what happened prior to that. I don't think they're going to lose a national championship. I don't think that's going to happen at all. And isn't that the one thing you're protecting?
Well, I don't think you want postseason bans or NCAA. You don't want playoff bans, but there's question about whether the NCAA can even do that.
I was going to say, does it even seem? I don't. This doesn't seem like something that would push them in that direction yet, unless there's a mountain of evidence that would suggest otherwise. But right now, it doesn't seem like that's coming out. Like they're not holding back and saying, "Oh, we got wait till you see what we got over here." You're not going to believe it.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that's the case. It's just kind of like, almost like a clerical thing. Let's just move
it's
along.
What Moore did is a procedural violation, and it should be taken seriously. But if the text message, we're going to have to use that a lot. If the text messages clear him of knowing what Connor Stallions was up to, then yeah, you're right. But one of the first Champ and Chump votes will come in. Champ of the weekend, Scotty Scheffler. Chump, Michigan football. The sooner you own up to it, the sooner you can move on. Quit delaying the inevitable. That's where I wonder where fans are. Is do you just say, okay, NCAA, let's negotiate a punishment, or Feinbaum there suggesting that they could lawyer up and win this thing, and I don't know
Well,
that makes it long and protracted. And
was he suggesting they could lawyer up and win this thing if it comes to them having to vacate the national championship? That's what I took it. Now, what could happen is that because of the Stallion stuff, because it wasn't a one-off. I mean, this was going on over a couple of years, and if they have that evidence to show it, what could happen is that they may have to vacate wins from prior seasons. And though that's painful, in the end, time goes by, people don't care anymore because you played the games, you saw them win, and it doesn't matter what somebody says after the fact, even though initially it's going to hurt if that's the case, if they have to go back and vacate prior wins.
All right, so Pete Damel was on the story, was asked what he thinks going to come out of this, and here's what he said this morning on Get Up. And that brings us back to that question. If you're a Michigan fan, do you just say, take the suspension?
Depends how long. Is it going to affect the Texas game? Or is it just going to be for Fresno?
He said a short suspension. Whether it affects the Texas game or not, to me, is irrelevant. If it's a short suspension, do you just take it in an effort to move on from this? Well, I know it matters because, look, I've seen the gamut here from fans, all right, of what they want Michigan to do. I'm a get to the end of it quickly guy, always have been. That means I'm more inclined to say take the suspension, but I'm not a crisis management expert. I do know this. There was a rollover with a Ford Explorer that happened in a January of whatever year it was, 92. And it felt like it was 1998 before that story was done. And it hung over the program forever. So in retrospection, they have done something there to try and expedite that process. And these are challenging issues where there's a lot of smart people at U of M that can make these decisions. But do fans want to see them just accept a suspension or fight it more? So I don't know. That's the crux of the issue I see for Michigan fans is how do you want them to approach it? And I mean, there's some people might say just take your medicine because you deserve it.
Well, I mean, obviously everybody has to find out what they're dealing with first.
Yep.
And what is the evidence? What is the suggested punishment before you can really kind of react on that? But I mean, if it is a modest 1-game suspension, I don't think anybody would have an issue with that, or not too many people would have an issue with that. If it goes beyond that, if you get into that second game, which is Texas's second game, right?
Yeah.
Then I think some fans would be like, ooh, that could hurt. I understand. I mean, I know your feelings. We've done this show together for over 17 years. I know exactly how you feel about this stuff, and you want to get it out of the way, but I think there's a lot of people that might have an issue if this is something you could fight and avoid not having to sit out for the second game against Texas.
Well, Michigan fans, how do you feel? 248-539-9797. Champ and Chump will have our nominees today at 10:35. We got the Lions joint practices in New York with the Giants. We'll get to that in the 11 o'clock hour. A lot of the Olympics to digest today, and we'll be talking this Michigan story throughout the show. Here on Carson Anderson on 97.1 The Ticket. Third car Scott Anderson talking about the ESPN story with the notice of allegations draft that was sent to Michigan, which I guess isn't the actual notice of allegations, but there was some stuff in there that was new and needs to be digested. And feedback is coming in, and we're seeing both sides of what fans want to do. From an unnamed texter, they write in, UM's biggest issue is probably the non-compliance issue and the basic arrogance in how they handled this. The issue isn't whether the scheme mattered on the field. It's the fact that the scheme existed and they tried to gain an advantage. Next one, fight this crap. At minimum, figure out why the NCAA's business with UM is hitting the ESPN streets. Figure out why Pete Thamel is finding out about this crap before U of M finds out. If it's supposed to happen behind the scenes like Kentucky football just got hit, it's a flippin' witch hunt at this point. That's why I want to fight this crap again. Fight, Randy and Livonia. Well, you don't like when leaks come out, but if the leaks are accurate, but yes, it definitely, I talked to somebody in the national media that said this is how the NCAA operates. If they're not happy, they'll leak stuff. So next one, you fight. It's called character. 248-539-9797. Let's go to Randy and Fraser. You're on 97. Want to take it? Hi, Randy.
Hi, Doug. Thanks for taking my call on this wonderful morning on Monday. I'm one of those that definitely say fight. This is such a bull crap type of a charge. I mean, there's nobody out there saying we were damaged specifically on this play because you guys gained the advantage of having someone on the sideline that we didn't know about. And I know from playing myself, it's not like the offensive coordinator screaming out, what the next play is. I mean, you got to be standing right next to them to hear what's going on. And I doubt that team would allow that to happen.
Well, it was about stealing signs, not necessarily reading the lips of what somebody was saying. And there seemed to be, I don't know, it seems obvious there would be an advantage to having that knowledge.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but there's no guarantee of that. I mean, they can't prove that in a court of law.
Well, look, I mean, that's the thing. If you want to take it to the court of law,
just get through it.
But that, again, sets up a long, protracted battle, which you have to ask yourself.
Why did he do it in the first place if not to gain an advantage?
Well, he was, he was trying to gain an advantage. He was trying to advance his career. And show his value to the program. But again, when you wait the 52 text messages that, according to insiders and according to multiple people that I've talked to, say that there is no link between Sharon Moore and Stallions and the scheme. They were obviously texting, but I was told it was mostly about recruiting, or a lot about recruiting. 248-539-9797. Let's get to our Champ and Chump nominations. We do this every Monday. My champ of the weekend is Scotty Scheffler, coming from 5 shots down in the final round of the Olympic golf tournament. It was an awesome performance to watch him go birdie, birdie, birdie as things heated up there. And playing for your country and not for millions of dollars of money, though I'm sure he'll capitalize on this one way or another, is kind of awesome. And I tend to not root for Scheffler, which is weird because I just find him to be sort of boring, but he's so good. And what a comeback yesterday. So Scheffler, my champ.
He's been amazing. And he's in a stretch right now where he is clearly the number one golfer in the world and then goes and takes gold the way he just commanded. It was awesome. I'm going to give it up to Ukraine. They won a couple of gold medals. They got one in team fencing. They got the other one in the high jump and also took a bronze in the high jump. Very inspirational when you hear that they've lost over 400 athletes due to fighting in the war with Russia. And this is the contingent they bring with them. And it's just all heart and watching those athletes up there, particularly when I saw them, the team fencing gold medalist, when they were all up on the podium and singing the national anthem. You could tell that it really meant something to them, and it's impressive just what they've done.
My chump of the weekend is whoever picked the outfits that Scotty Scheffler and the rest of the Americans had to wear with the sort of FedEx delivery pants or airport tarmac worker pants. I don't know what that look was. I thought it was awful. So whoever chose those outfits, my chump of the weekend.
I'm going to chump the Seine River. It's so contaminated. Athletes and teams are pulling out of races after people had fallen ill following events in the water from the previous triathlon they had. They just had the mixed triathlon, I think it was today, and they weren't sure what they were going to do. And then last night they made the decision, no, it should be fine. Our testing is confirming that it should be fine. By the time we throw more chemicals and everything else in the water, you shouldn't be sick from it, even though people had fallen sick from being in the water last week. So that thing, I
got to tell you, the idea that there was no backup plan.
Like, how long did you wait before you started dumping chemical bombs in there to try to fix the issue?
I don't know, but it's terrible.
Do you think the Olympics just has like a pool guy come by, check the water real quick? Yeah, your levels are still bad here. We're gonna need to this is terrible. Why would anyone feel safe if one day this is not safe, guys, and then the next morning, oh yeah, the levels are good now. Everyone in the water.
Like, how about move it to another? Okay, I get that it's in Paris and you want to keep everything in Paris, but they had
send them to Tahiti.
I was gonna say they had the surfing in Tahiti. And so why not move it? You don't have to go to Tahiti for it, but how about, I don't know, the shores of the French Riviera? Move it over there so they can swim in the ocean like what they do with the Ironman triathlon in Hawaii and all that. Maybe do that. This is just strange. Absolutely strange it took them that long. But a similar thing happened in Rio when all the pools were green for a while. And they're like, we got to swim here in 2 days. Why is the pool green? Don't worry. We shocked the water. It should be back to normal. And like hours before it turned back to blue or whatever.
So some triathletes had to drop out because they were sick, right?
Yeah. Well, the teams decided,
but it's
we're not going
fine
to feel
today.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, what? No, it's not.
You got some people. I just saw a headline from somebody who was competing and say, I don't care if I get sick. I want to compete. I want to win. And if I get sick, I get sick.
Yeah, I remember reading
That's the guy who's not sick yet.
Right.
Right. And I'm reading one account of somebody, we swallow water when we do this.
Of course.
Well, yeah.
All right, 248-539-9797. Get your Champ and Chump votes in. You want to continue with the Michigan discussion? Here's a bunch of votes that have come in. Champ, the Detroit Tigers, and the Jim Leland ceremony. Very cool to see live, and an excellent end to the Tigers game that needed some excitement. Chump, the Motor City Casino for closing down its poker room permanently. It's from Nick and Clarkson.
Oh.
Did you watch the Leland stuff?
I did. Actually, I got home in time, flipped on the TV just as Jim was being driven onto the field in the Corvette, and got to see the ceremony from that point on. It was good. It was good because people were quick. Didn't linger around too long. Didn't have too many people speaking, and then the game happens, and the game is interesting. And get to the ninth inning, and it's just, wow, what are we doing here? Oh my God, they came back to tie it. Here we go. Missed opportunity to win it, but okay, we'll go to extra innings. Down a run. Oh, hey, tie it. Down a run. Oh, hey, score two, and it went in walk-off fashion. There was something strange that happened on that. Did you see the highlights of it all?
I saw the highlights, but there's something that I saw in the play-by-play that made no sense to me. But go ahead.
Okay, so it was Wenzel Perez, right, that hit the fly ball to deep right field that was ends up being the double to win it. The second the ball, I forget if it either hit the guy's glove or it hit the wall. The second that happened, they started strobing the lights at Comerica Park. You know how they do?
Yeah.
So the park goes dark, and then he starts seeing lights flashing. He hasn't scored from third base yet, and that's happening. I'm like, I'm all for the light show. I think it's awesome. How about we actually let the play finish up before we do that? Because it literally happened a half a second after it clears the guy's glove. I'm like, that is strange.
That's why I'm not for the light show. I don't like the light show. I hate I feel like someone's going to go in a seizure or something like that at some point. I don't think that's good for you. But yeah, especially when they do it early. What are we doing? You can't see anything. You can't see anything.
No.
What happened?
They jumped the gun on that.
Champ, Frankie Bowl. I don't know who that is.
Femke Bowl?
Oh,
she's the Olympian.
Yeah.
Okay. What sport?
She's a runner, right? I think I saw. Yeah.
She's in track and field.
I actually saw this race. She came back. I don't know if it was the 400 or the 800, maybe in the 800. And she is so far back. And you don't even think about it. And then she just comes out of nowhere, flies up the side, passes everybody, and wins by a good distance. Maybe in a relay event. I forget what it was. But she was amazing.
But did you see her interview?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
She's going viral for this. Doug, I guess you haven't
No.
because you don't even know who she is.
No.
During the break, I want you guys to go YouTube her interview.
Is it something we need to play on the air?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me find it.
Chump, the same person writes in Chump. Chicago White Sox 20-game losing streak, 41 games out of first with 2 months still to play. Oh, Chump Gold, they chumped the White Sox. Chump Silver, the French IOC's plan to have humans swim in the Seine. That's getting a lot of love today. 248-539-9797. All right, more feedback coming in on the Michigan story. We will get to that coming up. We also will talk Lions in the 11 o'clock hour. We got a little exercise for Gator and I as they go into joint practices this week with the New York Giants. Just a reminder, you can stream the show with the Odyssey app. Download it for your mobile device today, AUDACY. That way you can listen to the show anywhere in the United States. There'll come a day where you'll wish you had it, so may as well download it today. More and more people listening to the show through streaming.
Don't rue the day.
No ruing.
No.
We do have a ruing question today. We always like ruing question. Do you think we will rue something? And then we have a rue question later. We've got streaming through our website, 971theticket.com. We stream there, and there's great content from the Birch Kid and Evan. Also streaming with video. Go to twitch.tv, search up 971 The Ticket. Same thing with youtube.com, and you can participate in the streaming chat. We read and interact when we can with those. So 248-539-9797, 971 The Ticket. Todd Carr, Scott Anderson, 97 won a ticket. Talking about the ESPN story with the draft of an NOA that got leaked. Apparently wasn't the final draft, but had some new information, and that was, and probably the most, the thing that Michigan has to deal with the most is 52 text messages from Sharon Moore, and between Sharon Moore and Connor Stalions that were deleted. There are sources that say those messages are going to be released publicly very soon, but they don't tie Sharon Moore, Coach Moore, into knowing of the Stallion scheme. We shall see when they come out. In the meantime, we've asked Michigan fans how, you heard the Paul Feinbaum and the Pete Thamel sound. Feinbaum said he didn't think this was going to amount to much. Thamel said he expects Coach Moore to be looking at a short suspension. And I know that there are Michigan fans, and we've seen it already, that want to fight that. I'm not a crisis management expert, but I've talked about, okay, then accept that and move on and get this in the rearview mirror. Some people don't agree with that. Here's the feedback as it comes in. As a Michigan Wolverine fan, Michigan's gone from leaders to a bunch of Karens. That's from an unnamed texter. There are two issues at play. First, legitimize the Natty. That seems settled. The second issue is Michigan's integrity. One thing has nothing to do with the other. Michigan can be a national champion but also be cheaters. It is misguided for fans to use a national championship as evidence for being the leaders and best. UM accepted the NCAA punishment in the Fab Five fiasco, and it hammered the program for 10-plus years. Programs that fight seem to get off easy. So that's what some people believe. And I talked to somebody at the University of Michigan, said, just because it can be fought and won doesn't mean that you necessarily choose to do so. And, how they handle it is tricky.
This would not be something that brings down a program. Okay, this is totally different than the Fab Five stuff.
All right, so we've got this. This got a champ vote. It's Femke Bol, and she is a runner for the Netherlands. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. And she ran the anchor leg of the 4x400 relay. It
was awesome.
And she just comes out of nowhere and just says, okay, I'll take over.
I got this.
Sprints past everybody in the last, 80 yards. It's amazing. And then ends up, the other girls are just standing still. She just runs right past them.
Okay, so the race ends and a microphone gets put in front of her, and this went viral, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and neither you nor I have seen nor heard this.
Nope.
All right,
I'm going to play the clip. The clip first is the interviewer asking her a question, and she answers the question.
All right.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Is it a red bat?
Wow, red bat. Is that a Rondell White reference?
That was way back.
No, it was Jock Jones.
Jock Jones.
Jock Jones. Okay, yeah. Okay.
It sounds like someone's doing a voice, right?
I feel uncomfortable with this. As someone who gets quite a bit of criticism over their voice, I don't feel comfortable laughing at somebody else's voice.
And yet,
it doesn't sound like a real voice.
It doesn't sound like a real voice. Look, this is some things are just inherently funny. She sounds like Mickey Mouse. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take anything away from her accomplishments or who she is as a person. She's happy. I love that she won. It was amazing, and the voice is great. Remember when Carrie Strug won in the gymnastics with the United States like 30 years ago, and she landed that final vault or whatever, and she had like torn her leg up and all this, and they're talking to her.
Yeah,
and
we found out later that they'd already won the gold before she went.
I forget but her voice sounds like she's on helium.
Yeah.
And then they made the whole thing with they had her on Saturday Night Live, and it was a big deal, and it was just funny. This voice is great.
I think it's partially. I mean, she just ran a race, of course.
Yeah,
you know, when she's
out of
tired,
breath.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Post race voice they call it.
Accent.
Yep, accent. All that plays a factor.
Can I hear it again, please? I mean, you wanted for clarification. Just wanted to.
All right, well, let's hear it. It's this Femke Bowl after they won the gold.
I love it. I love it. God bless her. She's awesome.
Does she run again?
I imagine she had to run the 100.
I'm saying, are we going to get to watch her again?
So great. 'Cause like just watching the video without hearing the audio.
Yeah.
Like you're watching her like, oh, she's cute. I want to hear what but then you put the voice to it. It's like, all right. It's overload. She's awesome.
All right, at this hour, we have a first, probably not the last, and expected. Our old friend Ryan Field,
RF,
who is now working in New York City, has video of the first Lions-Giants practice fight. We've got a Lions-Giants practice fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And this looks, I'm trying to figure out if it's the offense or the defense. Oh.
Looks like the Lions offense.
Yeah, a lot of offensive numbers out there. And this escalated quickly.
Who's the big? I'm watching this as well.
Yeah.
Trying to get a number of somebody who is big fellow. Is that Penei Sewell? That's Penei Sewell, isn't it?
Yeah.
58.
Yep. So they're in shells. They're not fully uniformed. They all have the Guardian caps on. And it's to be expected. It is to be expected when you get two teams together.
It's so funny that everybody calms down. All right, let's go to the other side of the field.
Yep.
That's that's a lot happening there.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to hold back Penei Sewell is ill-advised.
Yep. Yeah, I would not, just as long as nobody gets hurt, right?
Just don't get hurt. Nobody gets hurt.
Yep. So that's going on right now. The Lions and Giants participating in a joint practice from out of New York. Interesting. I believe. So we retweeted it, and now that post has been taken down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they don't want you tweeting out that stuff.
Well, let's see if we can try. Has it been reposted? Yeah, you can. No, it says the link doesn't exist. Interesting.
I'm still watching it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Don't refresh.
I don't want to.
Because you've got the exclusive.
Now, what stands out to me at the end of all this is like Penei Sewell's a large man, right?
Yep.
But he's not like fat, and he's not like 6'7" either. But
Nope.
he's a large man.
Yep.
At the end of this skirmish in the video, while it's still up, well, I can still watch it anyway. You see one of the Lions linemen come over and kind of like, hey, calm things down. And I believe it's number 70. So is that Dan Skipper? It is Dan Skipper, who's 6'9".
Yeah, he's huge.
Just towers over everybody that's there and kind of dwarfs them in size. So the skirmish goes on, and then once it ends, like they kind of break it up, and then it's like somebody blows a whistle and, hey, everybody go back this way. And then it's forgotten until probably the next series.
Well, we don't know how it started.
We don't.
But we certainly did see the bulk of it, although is the tweet, I don't know if the tweet's gone or not. I've lost it. You still got it, though.
Yeah, because I have not refreshed.
Yeah. So apparently.
I'm still stinky.
Yeah. John in Lake Orion sends us the following. What I don't get about this regarding the Olympics and the Seine is this isn't a new thing. That river's been polluted for like 600 years. Look, this feels like it was in theory something that they wanted to do, but in retrospect, probably not the best idea. But hey, we'll see what they decide to do. Isn't the triathlon today? I think the triathlon's today.
I believe it was it's like a team triathlon or the mixed triathlon or something like that.
The funny thing is the saying, but many of the athletes are like, screw it, I want to compete. Really? You sure about that? 248-539-9797. Okay, so if you want to continue talking about the Michigan stuff, we'll take your phone calls, feedback. How do you want Michigan fans, how do you want to see them approach this? Pete Thamel says Moore is probably looking at a short suspension. Would you accept that to wrap this up and move on, or do you want to fight it? I feel like we see both feedback from Michigan fans of fighting it or just accepting that and try and bring this thing to a close. Also, Champ and Chump votes, get them in. 248-539-9797. It's Carson Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket.
Brought to you by Hamilton Chevrolet. Following a day off, it's right back to work for the Lions this morning. They're doing joint practices with the Giants right now. And a few minutes into their practice, we already have a huge scrum back and forth between these teams. The video's out there right now. They're really going at it. Usually Dan Campbell does not like the fighting. We'll see what he has to say. But he's back in his old stomping grounds as well. The joint practices, Coach talked about what they're looking to accomplish with these sessions against another team. Campbell was drafted by New York, said some of his fondest memories and best friends made are from his 4 years playing with that team. Sam Laporta also out today, but nothing to be concerned over, according to Coach. Olympic update, no medals for the American girls in the balance beam this morning. Both Simone Biles and Suni Lee fell off during their routines, did not make the podium. However, Biles bounced back with a silver on the floor routine a couple of hours later. Her teammate Jordan Childs got the bronze after submitting an inquiry and was boosted from 5th to 3rd for some reason. And making the podium for USA, they showed sportsmanship by bowing to the Brazilian gold medalist while they were at the podium. Following a 2-7 homestand, it's an idle day for the Tigers. They're off to Seattle, a long road trip to face the Mariners for 3 games and then the Giants in the Bay Area for 3 more. They won't be back home until next Tuesday. Their probable rotation is slated as Montero and Skubal, then TBD yet again. Casey Mize has been cleared for rehab assignment after being out of the rotation due to injury since the end of June. From the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
So Falar there during the update mentioned the gymnastics. I thought the gymnastics were over the middle of last week. And it feels like every night there's more gymnastics. And there's like all these team events.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back and now there's like the individual golds, I guess is what it is. So all your best pommel horsers go in pommel horse. And all your best barser goes in bars, and they do individual golds for each discipline as well. Is that what it is?
Well, sure. You have to do the individuals, yeah.
Okay, so the team stuff is a cumulative score of everybody on the team, and then you come back and just do the exact same events, but you're just competing for yourself. Is that why this never ends? Now, it's probably great for TV because it gets ratings. I have to admit, and I'm going to admit this on the air publicly, I'm not a huge fan of the gymnastics. Sorry. Just doesn't do it for me.
Oh, Doug. How dare you?
Well, they're very popular. I know that. They're very popular. And Simone Biles is super popular. But I heard that Simone Biles was competing again today. I was like, again? I thought this was over a while ago. But
well, today she was on, I think, the balance beam.
Well, she wasn't on. She fell, actually.
Yeah, she slipped, I guess, yeah. So
she was on, and then she was off, and then she got back on.
Well, spoiler alert.
I'm sorry, man. Fallard already updated it like earlier today.
It's true. So, way to go, Flar. Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's wrapping up shortly, though. I wonder if today's the last day of all this stuff with the gymnastics.
I've wondered that for about 4 or 5 days in a row, but apparently it just keeps going and going and going.
Well, maybe if it was a Netflix on a documentary on Netflix, you'd watch it.
All right, if it happened to coincide with the time that you're working out, you wouldn't care so much.
Yeah,
balance. That's probably true.
Balance. Imbalance.
Tumble. From Big Clam 96 on Twitch, Champ the U.S. Olympic team for bringing in lots of hardware this weekend. Chump the Zone and the Chic promoter for creating an over-the-top performance Saturday for the Crawford fight. The main event didn't start until after 1 a.m. Is that true? Main event didn't start till after 1?
I don't know.
Okay. Somebody can maybe attest to it. It was delayed. From Kier Duchesne, please, on Twitch. My daughter is into gymnasts, so I'm all about it. I was about it even before that. Also, I enjoy watching the crazy stuff they can do. They can do crazy stuff.
Oh, they do crazy stuff.
And they are brave. And they are acrobatic. And they are athletic.
Part of you want to run on the floor just to see if it's spongy and springy?
Yep.
Even I could do a flip. No.
Well, the thing is, did you ever play basketball on like a raised basketball court?
Well, Jenison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was springy.
Yes.
You could tell the difference between a raised court that, was up off the ground and one that was just, laid on top of the ground. So, there's definitely something to be said for it.
Yeah, I felt when I played at Genesee Fieldhouse that I had it was quite possible that I could reach the net.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. 248-539-9797. So the Lions, we've been looking at this practice video, and apparently what we retweeted is actually deleted. But there are other videos available now of this fight between the Lions and the Giants. As long as nobody gets hurt, right? But when you get two teams together for a joint practice, this isn't a huge surprise. It's almost to be expected. And it didn't take long, did it?
Apparently not. Apparently it did not take too long.
It was really over nothing from what my point of view was.
What do you mean?
This is just the fight.
Well, we saw, but if we watched it, we mentioned Penei Sewell was in it.
No, but do you how it started?
No, how did it start?
Yeah, so it started with a passing. It was like a crossing route to the sideline. St. Brown catches the ball, and the Giant defender kind of wraps him a little bit, and St. Brown didn't like it, so he kind of threw him off of him. And then another defender came in and punched the ball out of St. Brown's arms, and that's when the whole thing started. You know what I mean? Then another guy comes in, and so that's how it didn't seem like much. But when you're practicing against someone not your teammate, finally, I think the aggression, can come out a little bit.
Do you always worry about a training camp hero trying to make a name for themselves? And I mean, like a guy from the other team that's going to actually hit Jared Goff?
No,
That's my only concern with these things.
The quarterback stuff, I think it's so universal that you don't touch quarterbacks that I wouldn't worry about that. But I could see something where, wide receivers and defensive backs, they jaw all day long.
Yes.
So I could see things getting a little chippy with the receivers and defensive backs.
Well, and, there's a lot of egos involved.
What?
And Amon-Ra plays with an edge, and so I guess no. The part like when we watched the video, we're like, who was that got thrown? There was a lion that got really flung out of the pack. And Ken, you said it was Khalif Raymond?
Yeah, it looked like Khalif Raymond to me, number 11. Yeah. And I got to tell you, St. Brown thing started this thing, man. The more I keep looking at the replays.
St. Brown started?
Well, he caught the ball, and the other guy maybe kind of grabbed him. It wasn't that bad. What happened was the other defender came in and punched the ball at St. Brown. St. Brown did not like that, and he absolutely shoved a defender, to the chest. One of those like, hey, the first shove in a fight. You know how that goes?
Yep.
That was the first shove, I feel like, to start. And
then it all escalated from there?
The rest of the team came in, yeah.
Okay. So Nolan Bianchi has reported it was the fourth play.
The Lions are already going for it on fourth down?
The fourth play of the joint practices this morning with the Giants.
That's why we can't have nice things.
A fight breaks out. Do you like it? I mean, is this?
Oh, now so now I finally get the angle that King was talking about, where it starts, everything starts.
Who tweeted it out? What do we got?
Natalie Sparbeck.
Okay. And
just retweeted this. It's yeah, I know. It's St. Brown catches it, kind of flings off the defender, and then somebody else knocks the ball out, and then St. Brown pushes that guy, and then 22 comes out and pushes, and everything starts to get a little out of hand, and then the Lions come over because it's a lot of. I mean, it's like 15 New York Giant players there, and
right away
2 Lions. Yeah.
Well,
3, I guess. Here's Brock Wright.
Yeah, the Lions are a little late getting there.
They're very late getting there.
By the way, nice throw and catch. Amon-Ra was covered.
I love it. You like to hear stuff like this. As long as nobody gets hurt, hey, this is the spirit of the competition. Everybody's fired up. Okay, there's a big adrenaline dump right there. Now we're going to run to the other side of the field. Calm down and let's get to practicing.
I think everybody
off our chest.
Yeah, I think everybody's all too enthusiastic to crank this up. And I don't mean in a bad way, but I think the idea that the first time there's a spark, it turns into a fire shouldn't be surprising at all.
No, they want to hit somebody else.
And I'm just, the more I watch, early on, there's like 7 guys around Amon-Ra. I'm like, whoa. Because he gets surrounded quickly. He was in the middle of the field, and all the Giants got to him right away, and you just protect that guy.
He can handle it.
Yeah. J-Mo's right in the middle of it, too. So,
and then Khalif Raymond, and then Penei Sewell, and
they're going to be there. They'll be here all week. Lions and Giants. We have a little bit
of be there all week.
Yeah, be there. Sorry, they'll be there all week. Lions and Giants. There's joint practices today and tomorrow. I guess Wednesday's an off day, and then Thursday night
it's game time.
It's football. It's football, which is
second team time.
I'm questioning. Do you play Jared Goff into the third quarter or all the way to the fourth? No, but they're obviously building up to this thing, and it's going to be huge. And one of my favorite things happened, and we're going to have a little exercise, okay? I love, and I admit I shouldn't love them as much, but I think you like them too, depth charts.
No, I do like the depth. A good depth chart. Yeah.
Yep.
If it's accurate,
Yep.
you gotta love them.
Yep. And we have one.
Oh.
So we have to make some predictions. Kang has it. You nor I have not seen it.
No.
Actual Detroit Lions depth chart. We'll get to our predictions coming up today at 11:16 and tell you who is revealed playing what positions and where they are on the depth chart. It's Carson Anderson, Open Lines, Champ and Chump. Get your votes in. Spent much of the first hour talking about the Michigan stuff on ESPN if you want to continue down that road. Got a Lion Giant fight this morning at joint practices. It's Carson Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket. Having a Connecticut water softener installed by CGC Water has so many benefits. This month, get a free A200 Connecticut reverse osmosis system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier softener when you call 855-339-4242 or visit cgcwater.com. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. This month, you can also save 10% off any residential job over $500 when you let CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing take care of all your plumbing needs. CGC Water, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer, 855-339-4242. All right, feedback coming in. One person says, Champ, the NCAA for finally moving this Michigan thing along. Chump, anyone who cares about the Olympics, they're boring and pointless, and the world would be better off without that waste of time.
All right. Enjoy your ham.
Yeah, I'm.
You can choose not to watch them. How's that? There you go.
No, the world would be better off without the Olympics.
World would be better off without the Olympics. I think isn't it the direct opposite? Does this kind of bring people together? There's like really cool.
Be clear.
It literally does bring the world together.
I mean, there's sportsmanship stuff out there that's awesome to see.
No.
Okay.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
The world would be better off without them. Champ, the Tigers on Saturday. Chump, the Tigers on Sunday.
There you go. Shelby Miller just couldn't get out of it there in the ninth inning. Couple men on, you had an out, and I forget who the batter was. Smoked the ball to right field and just missed the home run.
Mm-hmm.
Next pitch, he flies out to center. And now I think there's 2 outs at this point. And then the first pitch, Melendez gets up there and just clocks it. Like, I'm going to swing the first pitch. And he did. And he did not miss. And deposited a 3-run homer. And unfortunately, then the Tigers come up in the bottom half of the ninth inning. Runner on first, 1 out. Colt Keith at the plate. And he smokes it. Line drive, third baseman reaches up and snags it. If he didn't snag it, I wonder if that would have gotten into the corner and would that have tied the game because the runner is going and.
Yeah.
It was just unfortunate. But I liked how they played. The bullpen up until Miller did a great job as a bullpen day. And, Faedo and Brant Herter made his debut. He looked good. Other pitchers out there getting the job done. And unfortunately, Shelby Miller did not.
Unnamed texter. Very random. Clark, McGonigal, Keith, Green, Karp, Torque, Dingler, Young, Meadows. This team can be great in 2026.
Well, I don't know if all those guys are going to be ready, but
I'll tell you who's ready. Max Clark is ready for Erie. Isn't Max Clark hitting like 900?
No, he's not hitting 900. I think he went like 0 for 5 the other day. He had 4 strikeouts, but he's moving quickly. And McGonigal is starting. McGonigal started off horribly at West Michigan, and now he's starting to put some games together. He hit a home run the other day. That was good for him. You get this guy they just got from the Dodgers, Trey Sweeney, the shortstop.
Yep.
He's hit a couple home runs at Toledo. He's hitting the ball hard. Torkelson he's on a bit of a tear right now. He's got 10 home runs and 39 RBIs and 49 games or whatever he's played. I think it's 49. His OPS is now approaching 840, which is good for him. Let's see it. So there's stuff that's happening there, but I'm not getting excited about anything until the next year, I guess.
Yeah, I hear you.
Don't expect a whole lot of movement from players one step to the next.
We want it to happen quickly, but if you even look at Jackson Jobe, they have no.
Don't look at him.
Well, they seem to have no interest in calling him up. So getting excited about Max Clark, I still feel like he's miles away.
The weird thing with Jobe is it feels like they have no interest in moving him and promoting him to AAA. Like they want him to see AAA level before he gets to the majors, but it seems like they're comfortable leaving him at AA. He made a start last week and he was not good. He was rattled early and just never really got over it. But that's one start. His ERA is still spectacular. He's been outstanding at AA. I would imagine it's just a matter of time before he gets the promotion to AAA. But how many games are left in the AAA season? 30 games?
Not a lot.
Like in a month? So I don't know if we're going to see any more movement of players going up the chain here.
Okay. We mentioned before the break, we have our first Detroit Lions released depth chart. Now, this admittedly comes from the communications department. Is that correct, Kang? It's not like anything official?
Yeah, this is the first unofficial depth chart.
So we figured we'd work our way through it and try to guess who's in what spots with our questions. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand the exercise here? So we're going to bring up something like, if I said, who is the starting quarterback? we would all guess Jared Goff is listed as the starter, and we would be correct.
Jared Goff.
Well done, Gator. But if we say backup quarterback, is there any, just real quick, is there any ors? Or do they have everybody listed?
This ain't college, Doug.
Okay. All right.
This ain't college.
Well, let's start with that. Backup quarterback, Gator. Who do you think is listed as the backup quarterback?
Hendon Hooker.
Okay. I'm going to go Sudfeld, and I think the reason is because he's a veteran. And I think they will just simply put the veteran as the backup. And my guess is, being a veteran, they'll give him the first crack at it. I'm not saying this is the way it's going to be in a month when they're getting ready to open the season, but I think that's the way it's going to read right now.
All right, so you're both correct on Jared Goff being the starter.
Yes.
QB1. Yep. The backup listed on the first unofficial depth chart for the Lions is number 8, Nate Sudfeld, followed by number 2, Hendon Hooker.
Come on!
So it's Sudfeld, then Hooker as of right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
As of right now.
All right, next up, third wide receiver. Third wide receiver. Would you like me to go first? Should we go back and forth?
Why don't you go first?
Okay. For the third wide receiver, I'm going to go Khalif Raymond for the same reason. I think they're giving the veteran. I don't know that he will be, but I think they love Leaf. So I think they'll give it to Khalif Raymond at this point.
I think it's more fun when we disagree. And I keep hearing the name brought up, so I'm going to go with Darius Fountain.
Wow. I would honestly, I'll be shocked if Darius Fountain is.
I will be too, but I'm saying it because,
You spicing things up, Gator?
Yeah. Well, let's get a receiver that's got a little bit of size. He's 6'2", 210 pounds.
I got down the Darius Fountain wormhole on YouTube this weekend.
There is one?
Yeah, there's a catch he made in a preseason game. 3 catches he made in a preseason game with the Kansas City Chiefs, and there's a touchdown reception he had when he was with the Bears. So if down the wormhole means I watch 4 plays, I watch 4 plays. But Kang, all right, I got Khalif Raymond. Gators got Darius Fountain, and
all right, listed as the third wideout. Obviously, the other 2 starters are Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams. The starting third wideout on the unofficial depth chart right now is Khalif Raymond.
Okay.
Behind Khalif Raymond at the third wideout position is Antoine Green, followed by Maurice Alexander.
Wow.
Now, that's for the third wideout. That actual, that slot receiver.
Yeah, okay. So,
the outside receivers play different roles.
Sure. And is that where they have DPJ and Darius Fountain?
Behind Jamison Williams is Darius Fountain, followed by DPJ. Behind Amon-Ra St. Brown is Tom Kennedy, followed by Isaiah Williams.
Okay, so let's back up here. You said Darius Fountain has passed DPJ?
He is listed ahead of Donovan Peoples-Jones, behind Jamison Williams.
Okay, I have to admit that surprised me a little bit.
So I guess the other thing is it's really not wide receiver 3, it's slot receiver.
Yes.
So I would not have said Darius Fountain as a slot receiver. I would totally have agreed it would have been Khalif Raymond because he's a slot receiver.
All right, I'll give you a point. I'll give you a point for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Half a point.
No, he gave me a full point.
Are we a little surprised
Olympics
that Darius Fountain is listed ahead of DPJ? I mean, I know he's gotten a ton of hype.
Here's the thing. After reading what I read over the weekend, how Dan Campbell was kind of critical of DPJ. He's got some work now.
He doesn't sugarcoat things, and I believe everything the man says.
Yes, you do. So if you had seen this, then I think you would have saw this coming.
Yeah. Well, I did not see that. Oh my! We now have a second Lions-Giants fight.
I saw that.
I think there might be a third.
I think there have been more based on what the headline says.
Yeah.
Colton Pouncey 14 minutes ago says sidelines have cleared at least 3 times already. And then there's video Dove Kleiman.
Dove's there?
Yeah, sure. Captain Retweet has a video of the skirmish that says Daniel Jones just started another Giants-Lions fight.
Wow. So there's been 3 fights in the first hour of practice. All right. Well, there you go. All right. Next up, as we try to predict the depth chart, the defensive tackle next to Aleem McNeil. Defensive tackle next to Aleem McNeil.
Well, DJ Reader.
He's hurt.
Still going to be number one in the depth chart.
You think he's listed as number one in the
I don't
depth chart?
think this is for. I don't think this depth chart is made for the game on Thursday. Because then Jared Goff wouldn't be on there because he's not playing.
I'm going to go Levi. Okay.
Gator, you're going Reader, Gator?
I'm going Reader.
Next to Aleem McNeil at defensive tackle is DJ Reader. Behind DJ Reader is Levi Onwuzurike, followed by Mekhi Wingo.
Who's behind Ali McNeil?
Kyle Pecco.
Ahead of Broderick Martin?
Ahead of Broderick Martin. Broderick Martin's behind Kyle Pecco. In the first unofficial depth chart released by the Lions.
Yep. Well, commence my freak out in 3, 2, 1. No, I'm not going to freak out by that. Interesting. All right, so we got some other positions to try and predict. We will get to that coming up in the first Lions depth chart release. We'll continue at 11:31. 248-539-9797. 97.1 the ticket. Doug Hart, Scott Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket, open lines, 248-539-9797. Great to be with you here on a Monday. We've got a lot on the table today. Open the show discussing the leak of a notice of allegations, a draft of a notice of allegations, not the actual notice of allegations that went out for the University of Michigan, or is going to be released to the University of Michigan, and gave our 2 cents on that. Had some national reaction to it, and we'll continue down that road if you so choose. Lions and Giants today, 3 practice fights already. The first one, Amon-Ra St. Brown and one of the defensive backs. Actually, 2 of the defensive backs kind of got into it, and it sparked the 4th play of the practice today, sparked some pushing and shoving. Now there's been 2 more, including one where a Detroit Lion in the trenches was apparently, it looked like maybe bending somebody over backwards. Daniel Jones didn't like it. The quarterback for the Giants shoved that Lion, and all hell broke loose again, and then there was a 3rd skirmish as well. So Dan Campbell ain't going to like it, and we're probably going to hear about it. I think he's going to say he's never been a fan of practice fights.
Wasted energy, he'll say.
Yep. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised that these things happen. Is Dan Campbell going to lay the law down and they aren't going to happen again? Is this the one day this is going to happen? Probably.
I think this is the one day.
Yep. 248-539-9797, Champ and Chump. We get those votes in. In the meantime, we're working through our first look at the Detroit Lions depth chart. They play a game on Thursday, and the Lions communication department put out a depth chart. We're trying to guess some of the positions and who will be listed where. So far, we've gone through backup quarterback. It's Nate Sudfeld. 3rd wide receivers, Khalif Raymond. Defensive tackle opposite of Lee McNeil is DJ Reader, even though he's hurt. All right, the defensive end opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Again, Gator, I think nod goes to the veteran. I'm expecting it to be Marcus Davenport.
It will be Marcus Davenport.
Okay.
The defensive end opposite of Aiden Hutchinson is Marcus Davenport.
Okay, so who is listed as the backup?
To Davenport?
Yeah.
Yes.
Josh Pascal.
Who is listed as the backup to Aiden Hutchinson?
James Houston.
Okay. So they had a scrimmage on Friday, and it sounded as though there was quite a few plays in that scrimmage where James Houston was in the backfield. And that's really super encouraging because the skill set that he might bring to the table and what he might be able to do could be massive. We've seen some evidence that he's capable of it, but I went through a list last week of guys that we thought were solutions at a rush end position over the last decade, and there's a lot of names that didn't amount, that flashed
a season or 2.
Yeah, but didn't do much. So as it stands right now, watching for a James Houston development is something I think it's not just me. I think we're all keeping our eye on, all of us.
I want to go a little bit deeper behind Hutchinson, just because I find this interesting. It's a name that comes up every now and then. So after Hutchinson's James Houston, like I mentioned.
Yep.
After James Houston is Mitchell Agood, followed by Matthew Betts. He's 4th on that edge side.
Probably shouldn't be surprised given what Campbell said about him last week. But hey, look, he's got some work to do.
And Agood was flashing early in training camp. That was a name that people were talking about.
I mean, you can find players anywhere. It certainly feels like kind of every other year you get a Kicklicious or a Matthew Betts or a player from a different league or some experimental rugby guy gets brought in, and you look under every
international
stone.
Player, right?
You look under every stone, right, to see if you can find a guy, and you never know. But in Betts' case, I'm not saying it's not going to work for him, but he's definitely sounds like he's got work to do, given that the coach doesn't seem to mislead you when a player has work to do. All right, next up, the safety next to Kirby Joseph. Who do you think is listed as the safety next to Kirby Joseph?
Melon Fonwu.
Okay. I'm going to go with Brian Branch. I think they're using him in that role more, and I wonder if they'll list him as the other safety next to Kirby Joseph.
The safety starting opposite Kirby Joseph is listed as Brian Branch.
Oh.
Behind Brian Branch is Melon Fonwu.
Okay, so
they only list then 2 corners, a right corner and left corner, I'm assuming, as opposed to slot corner.
is there
No,
going to?
they have a nickel corner listed.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. Yep. So with Branch moving, that brings us to the nickel corner. And you said Melifonwu is listed as a backup safety, correct?
Yes.
Well, this is interesting. Gator, who do you think is listed as the starting nickel corner?
Because I would think that Terrion Arnold and Carlton Davis are the starting corners.
Yep.
And I'm going to go with Emmanuel Mosley, veteran. I don't feel great about it.
I'm going to go with Amek Robertson.
Yeah, it could be him too.
Yep. Okay.
The starting nickel corner on this depth chart right now is Robertson, followed by Emmanuel Mosley.
Interesting. Well, they brought him in, and a guy that they think has a lot of potential.
Where is Ennis Rakestraw?
He is listed behind Carlton Davis III.
Okay, so second team.
Yeah, outside corner.
And who is listed behind Terrion Arnold?
Kindle Vildor.
Okay. I'm going to be intrigued to see where Rakestraw shakes out. I think he might be a guy that forces his way onto the field somehow, some way.
Oh, I think that with the secondary, I think you're going to see a rotation there because you got to keep guys fresh. There are going to be times you're going against teams and teams are just going to run you straight back, and it takes a lot out of you doing these constant 60-yard sprints. So I think you'll see a pretty healthy rotation.
Yeah. And this is one of the most interesting things about this, what's going to go down over the next couple of days, is I don't expect a bunch of starters to play in this game Thursday night, but I do suspect guys like Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors to be there during practice. And I do expect that Terrion Arnold and Carlton Davis and Ennis Rakestraw and Amek Robertson are all going to be facing those guys in practice. And when they're not fighting one another, and there's already been 3 fights today, how do those guys show up? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Hard Knocks with the Giants?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to see all this.
Hard Knocks with the Bears. Hard Knocks.
Oh, that's right. They've just finished.
They just finished the
Giants.
Giants from the off-season Giants.
Yeah, that's what it was.
All right.
Dang.
Which was interesting.
Well, I'll say this, too, about Rakestraw and the rest of the secondary. I know that this coaching staff preaches versatility, which is good, but there's also something to be said for know your role and do it well. Rakestraw is an outside corner. So, his position is, Gator, you say it all the time, attrition with the secondary. Someone's going to get hurt, maybe not for the year, but for maybe even a couple weeks or during the game.
Yeah.
So if Davis or Arnold go down.
During the game,
if Davis or Arnold go down, they want a guy who can play the outside corner, who's been practicing the outside corner the entire time. You don't want to have to move a nickel over, So I think that's important to know that just because Rakestraw is listed behind Carlton Davis for a reason. It's not just they want him on the field probably at some point, but they want him to be able to play that outside corner.
There's going to be a lot of young players that they're going to get a lot of playing time on Thursday night, which makes it really, really interesting. And Rakestraw, I expect to be one of them. And I swear to God, I feel like I'm not discouraged about Terrion Arnold, but it feels like the Rakestraw hype has superseded the Terrion Arnold hype.
Ooh, I would disagree. I think there's a ton on Terrion Arnold. I wouldn't expect Arnold to even play on Thursday. Or if he does, it may be just a series. But I like the hype from both players. I like hearing it's on both of these players because obviously they're so young, being first and second round draft picks from this past year. So
248-539-9797. All right, one more thing on the Lions, and that is Quandre Diggs signs over the weekend with Tennessee. Will there be ruing? I know you're a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be ruing on losing Quandre Diggs? Or not going after Quandre Diggs?
I think there could be some ruing. I hope there's not, but I just think that anything with the secondary, if you can upgrade anywhere in the secondary, you try to do so. And I don't know if all these safeties now are done. Who's the guy from Denver?
Justin Simmons.
Is he still out there?
He is.
Well, I'm just looking to see if they've got money to spend and just add more players there.
248-539-9797. All right, marquee event, the Olympics, the men's 100-meter dash. Yesterday, very interesting race. We will get to that today at 11:46. If you missed it in the noon hour, we'll replay what Pete Thamel and Paul Feinbaum had to say about the latest developments in the Michigan sign stealing story with Sharon Moore being accused of deleting some text messages. You'll hear what they had to say in the noon hour. It's Carson Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket. Doug Harsh, Scott Anderson, 97 a ticket. Hope you're all doing well on this Monday. Champ and Chump, we do it every Monday, 248-539-9797. So lots to discuss today, and something we haven't touched on yet at all is something that unfortunately, Gator, I take great pride in my ability to pull off the successful sports bubble. I've done it all the time. The bubble, for people who don't know, is when you can't watch something live, you hope to be able to watch it later without knowing what happened. Certainly, it helps you recreate the actual intensity of the event. If you know what happened, sometimes it takes away from how you watch it, right?
Yeah, and to do it for maybe a specific game on a Saturday or Sunday during football season, if you can pull it off, you feel pretty good about yourself. But I imagine with the Olympics, it's really hard to pull off the bubble.
Yeah, yesterday, it was the first time something happened that I was disappointed in, that I had something spoiled for me, and it was Noah Lyles, our sprinter, the world champion, a 100-meter dash, who is sort of the face of American sprinting, and he was featured in the Netflix documentary Sprint. He has quite the bombastic and confident personality. He wins gold in the 100-meter final because in the afternoon, very inadvertently, I picked up my phone and saw that he won gold. And I'm like, oh. I didn't know what time it was being run live. I could have been a little bit more on top of that. I found out that he won live, and then, as we know, everything gets replayed at night. And I sat there and waited and waited and waited. And, of course, they teased that it was coming up, but that's like the last thing they're going to show, so they drag you out through the entire night. And I eventually fell asleep, and I didn't even see the entire thing till I came in today. How did you find out? Did you watch it live in the moment, or?
I actually did, yeah. Was it live? Did I see it live or did I see the tape? No, I didn't see it live. I watched the tape delay of it. But I knew that I didn't know the results.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
So you'd successfully pulled off the bubble.
It wasn't an intentional bubble. I just wasn't
didn't know.
Looking at Twitter to spoil it for me. So, but when I watched it, to me, it would have been live.
It was fresh to you.
Yes.
Kang, the Noah Lyles, did you watch it live in the moment?
Yeah, I was fortunate to watch it live. It was spectacular, fantastic. I mean, as a novice, you parachuting in on the Olympics. I'm not a track and field guy or anything like that, even though that's one of the three main events I care about during the Olympics. You just want a close race, really. I mean, you were looking at the clock and you're making sure the guys are within, it's a group of guys and you don't know.
Was it close?
I mean, that was... I don't know. I didn't check this. Was that the closest in history? Because honestly, that was gotta be. That was unbelievably
They say 5/1000ths of a second or something like that.
Gator, when you were watching it, did you have the same reaction as me? As I have no idea who won. Like I was watching in my living room. I had family over.
I had an idea who won, and he
really
didn't win.
Oh, so you thought the Jamaican guy won?
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know who won, and the announcers. I have no idea why they had to just yell out who they thought won the race, but. When it was over, I still did not know who won. I waited for the photo like everybody else.
When I got done watching it and watching the slow motion replay of it, apparently first to cross the finish line is not the one who wins. First who gets her torso across the finish line is, because the Jamaican's foot was clearly across the finish line first. But I'm not a track and field guy, so I can't sit here and give you any kind of fake outrage that there was an injustice.
This is done wrong. They should do it the other way. I hear you. It's because when you look at the torsos, yes, Noah Lyles' torso hit the line based upon the picture they showed us before the Jamaican's torso hit the line. And if that's the way they determine who wins and loses, then those of us that don't pay attention to track and field for 4 years will go, okay, I mean, we should accept that.
Sure.
Should it be changed? I don't know. I mean, who am I to say? The thing about it is, it feels like Noah Lyles managed to win a race that he never led.
Right.
Like he literally only led the last possible instant, which is pretty incredible. And here's my, I'm gonna say this as an expert.
Of course.
I think it's because the timing, his last foot before he crossed the finish line landed the perfect distance from the line to allow him to lean into it. Where the Jamaican's foot was in the air and he couldn't plant and lean. He was still kind of in the air. And in some ways luck, right? You can't plan where your feet are going to land. You're sprinting as hard as you can. So that's my pop analysis of how that race ended. I have so many questions, though. Like, is there actual strategy? Because it feels like from the outside looking in, the 100-meter dash is wait for the sound of the gun, run fast. And thus ends the strategy.
Right. I would imagine that it's, literally stay in your lane. Do not, meaning right? Don't veer a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. You stay as straight as you can. If you can stay as straight as you can, because the shortest distance between 2 points, Doug, is?
Straight line, Gator.
There you go. So do that.
Well,
I have no idea about
there's got to be
a 10-second race of what your strategy is supposed to be. I mean, there's got to be, it's timing on the starting gun.
Yeah, and that's a tricky thing too. I was watching one of the heats, and this poor guy from Great Britain got a false start and was disqualified. 4 years, false start. He's out. It's over.
You're not supposed to time it. You're supposed to just go on the sound. Well, you're not supposed to anticipate,
But here's the thing about it is he went after the gun sounded, but they deem it too fast for a human to react. And so he went 0.7 of a second or 0.7 of a second after the gun sounded, and they said that's too quick to react. You timed it. You're out.
What?
He was out.
Didn't we deal with this like a couple years ago as well? I feel like the same thing happened. Someone reacted too fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why they don't want you to try to anticipate anything. They just go and that's at the sound. And Doug, I don't know if there's a strategy necessarily, but there's definitely technique that these guys have to follow.
Without
right?
question. I mean, the only thing I really learned from sprint, and I didn't watch every episode. I think we watched 3 episodes, my wife and I, before the Olympics. The only thing I learned was that they work on their starts a lot. And it's amazing how many times the eventual winner gets off to a bad start. And manages to come back and win. But I mean, Noah Lyles, that entire race looked like he trailed. And then in the end, he managed to get his torso to the line before the Jamaican did.
I think it's like if you're not a great starter, just don't be a horrible starter, because you've got that makeup speed in the end where when the race comes, you can close it out. I don't think Usain Bolt was a great starter, but as long as he did okay to start the race, he had that finishing speed where no one could touch him. In the show sprint, Doug, I don't know this, maybe a listener knows this. Like when you run hurdles, you know how many steps between each hurdles. It's a timing thing, you have to be on your steps, your long jump, whatever, right? Is that applied to sprinting?
I didn't see any.
Do they know how
reference
many
to that.
steps they're supposed to have?
It's funny you say, because when Doug's analysis about the whole stepping and your body leaning forward or not at that point.
Yeah, don't you want to end on that?
Absolutely. You'd want to, if you can, you'd think that you can sort of time that.
Yeah, I don't know this. I'm asking. Does Noah Lyles know I need to be at 26 steps when I cross the finish line, or is this just run?
I have no idea.
That's what training is for.
Oh, I know.
But I'm giving you credit. I think that's why these guys train for for years and years and years and hours a day. It's all getting to that point where they know, okay, you've cut down from at one point it took you 35 strides to get across the line, and now we've got it down to 31 strides, and you're doing it consistently. Now we can work on that and learn, on that 31, start to move your body forward or whatever, because. And the same thing goes in swimming. It's about strokes and breaths and when you can take them and, to be as efficient as you can. So
you get to like strategy. When I think strategy employed in a sport, I think it's a conscious decision to do something to give yourself a leg up. In sprinting, what are the conscious decisions that you make as opposed to just simply running fast? Because it can't be that simple. And now, it's not easy to be fast. Let's be clear on that. That's not what I'm saying. But maybe it is. I don't know. Is the 100-meter dash literally just go, man? Or is there any strategy employed at all? 248-539-9797.
You guys golf, I don't. Isn't there certain things in your mind you're always telling yourself before you hit a drive or something? Like, right? Your hands here.
Yeah, I have a checklist.
I think in sprinting,
pre-swing thoughts.
I would imagine they have a checklist, like keep your knees high, head down, whatever. Like things you have to do and stay consistent, because literally every fraction of a second matters. And so I wonder if they run through that checklist their entire time, or is it,
Is it just technique?
Yeah.
As opposed to strategy? Or when does strategy become technique, or vice versa?
248-539-9797. Ray is on 97 to Ticket. Hi, Ray.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
What's up?
Yeah, it was a great race to watch. And if you guys notice, every year when you watch track and field, you'll notice that those athletes always lean at the tape.
Yep.
It's one, to get a better time, but two, it's always torso first. So Lyles won it fair and square. We always known that he was not a great starter, but his top end speed is what he lives by. So Lyles won it hands down, and all the NBA can cry.
But hands down, it was a tight race.
I mean, it was
5
pretty
thousandths of a second. It was pretty good.
Ray,
when I say hands down, I'm talking about according to the rules. According to
there's no improprieties involved. It's interesting that the rule is about the torso as opposed to just body part.
Yep, and I even challenge you guys, go back and look at the race that Justin Gatlin had against Usain Bolt. When Gatlin just about beat him, you'll notice there that the thing that made Gatlin lose that race was he started his lean too early. So it's, you guys made a great point. It's very technical, from the steps and your drive phase and all that stuff. It's very technical. And, when I say, he won it, I'm saying he won it fair and square according to the rules.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got 10 seconds, less than 10 seconds to get it done. You have to be technically perfect.
248-539-9797. Monday's Meet Champ and Chump. We'll revisit ours next hour. It's Carson Anderson, 97.1.